As with any digital channel, one of the great things about social media is the ability to track and analyze your campaigns in real time. All of the social platforms that are, of any significant size have their own analytics tools that you can use to track your likes, your engagement, how many views you're getting, all kinds of different things over time, in real time. You can look at various different, if you're placing ads on social, you can look at the performance of those. So Facebook Insights is a great example, and we'll talk a little bit more about that and look at an example of Facebook Insights in a later lecture. YouTube Analytics, I mentioned in the video marketing lecture that it's a Google company, so a lot of analytics there that you can dive into. Twitter, same thing. Unless you're an advertiser, some of these may not be open completely, but you can still get at least some top line information from all of them. Click tracking with short URLs, you can, in social, right, brevity is very, very important. And if you've got a really long link, you don't want to use characters, particularly in a platform like Twitter, on that. So using short URLs is a great way to allow the user to share your content without taking up all of their real estate, and also allows you to track via each short URL to your website and what is making people come back to your site. And then, use your web and analytics tools on your site to see where people are coming from. Okay, you can refer back to Kevin Hartman's data analytics and data visualization course in this series. He's got a whole course on this, but we're just kind of covering it top line. Okay, so social media. We talked about authenticity and letting the users kind of take some control and conversing with them, and not just using static advertising messages here, because that won't play. Authenticity is incredibly important. But let's look at some rules for engagement then, if we are going to give the user some control. Again, authenticity and openness. You can't be fake, and you can't force the conversation in social. The users just won't have it. You need to engage in conversation and lead it. And know that you can't control it. It's going to take on a life of its own, and we have to be okay with that. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to prepare yourself and your team for that sort of loss of control, because sometimes that's uncomfortable and we're not used to it. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a later lecture. You want to market to the people that are popular, the content creators. Get them to talk about you. That lends even more authenticity to your brand, and people are already paying attention to them, and so you get to tap into that audience. You want to, get your message out to the content consumers then, right? Those that are consuming those messages, and the sharers. You definitely want that. The power of social is in that sharing. And so you want to make sure that you're talking to those that share a lot. And you can see, of your network, who's doing all of this, who's looking at your content, who's sharing it, and then, who are the popular people in each social channel that you could market to. And then you can also advertise on social channels. I mentioned, Facebook advertising before. You can advertise, and we'll look at some examples. You can advertise on Twitter. You can advertise on Pinterest now. And so thinking about putting actual paid advertisement out there, but making sure that it's still in that authentic voice. Otherwise, it's going to get ignored or, again, maybe annoy the consumer or the user. Okay, so that's social marketing in a nutshell, but let's take a look. Obviously, as with any digital channel, there are advantages and disadvantages to social. Again, you get that interaction with your consumers, and so it's not just talking to them or at them. You're really interacting. It can be very relevant and targeted. Well, it should be very relevant. You need to make sure that it is. And you can be very, very targeted, again, as with many things digital in social. This is where viral happens. So you've got that big potential to go viral and be the popular content and get a lot of viewership and interaction with your message. if it is relevant and useful or funny. So it's got to be, you've got to put effort into that content creation here as you would with anything else. You can capitalize on the creativity of your audience, your consumers. So encourage them to upload things, right? Encourage them to create a video about interacting with your brand and let them be the creative genius behind what goes viral about your brand. And because of all these things, there is a low cost here. You can also provide a community and forum for your brand evangelists, those that just really, really love your brand. That's great, right? That lends even more authenticity. And of course, as with any digital medium, you get that feedback for future insights and future campaigns. That's great, right? There are a lot of advantages to using social. Of course, then there are also going to be some challenges. One challenge in particular in social is that bad news spreads as fast, and in a lot of cases faster than good news. I don't know how many times people have said to me recently about a bad customer service interaction or something. Well, I tweeted at them. I sent a nasty tweet at them, and so then they got back to me, right? So we've got to be careful about what's being said about us and react quickly to bad things out there. And because of that, constant involvement is necessary. So we talk about social being free, and in some ways it is, but there's a human resource cost here because you can't just put a message out on social and then not interact with your audience. That's not what this platform or this channel is for. And again, you can't control the conversation. That's uncomfortable, but you've got to let the users take that and interact with them. And if it does go badly, try to bring it back to a positive in an unforced way. And you have to take care in using the data. People, value their privacy, and this is where they put themselves out there. So you don't want to misuse their friends' network or their contact information and things like that. You've got to take care in using that data that you can have access to.